You are listening to the Cattle Call Podcast. This is the place where computer-aided design and drafting meets humor and practicality, with a touch of business acumen thrown in for fun. Jim and Rocco, the owners of ZenTek Consultants, the premier U.S. technology consulting firm for architecture, engineering, construction, and manufacturing, discuss the fascinating world of CAD with some humor and some honesty. The Cattle Call Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Cattle Call Podcast with Jim and Rocco from ZenTek Consultants. I am Jim, your unbelievably charming host, and with me, as always, is my partner.
It's Rocco, and he keeps thinking that he's charming. I think we should do like some kind of, what do they call it, survey monkey survey and have these people vote.
Yeah, I'm totally in favor of this. I think this could work. I mean, of course, I'll vote for myself a million times, but that's just a whole other thing. So, you see, being like that, and that's why I make you suffer through the engineering joke of the week. All right. You ready for this one, Rocco? This one's bad.
I'm ready.
All right. Why do civil engineers have the best personal relationships?
Why?
Because they're good at building bridges instead of walls. Really bad.
Yeah,
really bad on that one. All right, folks. We have a favorite guest back on the show with us today. Todd Rogers, a senior associate from Walter P. Moore, is back with us once again. Todd, it is always a pleasure to have you on, my friend.
Man, it's always a pleasure being here.
We love having you.
Thank you, Todd.
All right, so folks, Todd is here to talk with us about making use of Bluebeam Revu in kind of a practical work environment. And Walter P. Moore has been doing some really good things with Bluebeams. And we wanted to kind of get Todd's feedback on the pros and the cons of what he's seen, what he's run up against. But of course, as always, before we do that, let's get Todd to tell us a little bit about himself. And Todd, I'm sorry, I know I make you do this every single time that you're here, but why don't you tell people about your background and what do you do over at Walter Moore?
Well, let me take a big, deep breath. So they label me the BIM manager. I'm still trying to figure that one out. I do BIM management, but there's a whole plethora of other jobs I wear and hats. I keep the production line running very smoothly, as smoothly as possible, because I do use Autodesk products.
Fair enough.
I do some of the training there. We did implement a new LMS, which has taken a lot of the training away from me, which is great. So I can focus more on technical support and writing Lisp and, like I said, keeping production rolling on, man.
And in between all of that, he manages to work the word plethora into a sentence, which is just impressive as hell. I love it.
Reader's Digest.
I'm saying it's amazing what we pick up, right? All right. So I am sure that our regular listeners know that Bluebeam Revu, it's just hands down. It's one of my all-time favorite software packages. And yes, we sell, support, and we train people on it here at ZenTek. But honestly, I was a dedicated and really active user of Bluebeam in my real working life, long before that. It's a great tool that adapts easily, to both the design and the build sides of the construction world. Plus it's really easy to use and it's affordable. And look, the last stats that I saw said that at this point, nearly 90% of construction companies and over 60% of design firms are using Bluebeam in the U.S. I mean, that's just immense. That kind of saturation tells you how easy it is to use this thing. So, Todd, how long have your guys been working with Bluebeam, and what kind of brought you to the decision to make it part of your daily process?
So, I've been at Walter P. Moore 8 years, and of course they were using it when I got there. And we used to resell it when I was with Total CAD Systems. Didn't do anything with it when I was with the reseller. I believe Walter P. Moore's been using it since day one. They're very, very, good at doing it, and it's like a second hand to them. It's been really good for all the engineers, of course, because we try to keep them out of the software, right? out of the engineering software. So we're like, here, this is your software. You stay over there with this one.
Give him a crayon and a soft, cushy desk, and go sit over in the corner.
That's right. Yeah, don't open Civil 3D, please. But yeah, they've been using it quite a long time, and it wasn't until I started working for Walter P. Moore that I actually got my feet wet with it. I was like, wow, this is extremely powerful software. I've just played with Adobe and a couple of other cheap ones out there that are really not the full-blown version. And having this, it's just so powerful with all the features that it has and what you can do with it, and have it set up to do things and automate stuff with. So it's a blessing for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. It's just one of the coolest softwares out there. So yeah, look, most people kind of get started in Bluebeam, right? Starting out, they use the built-in markup processes, which is kind of like the ability to handle drawing reviews and to collaborate and share information and control your punch list. You even do as-builts, right? They all kind of fall under the Bluebeam markup umbrella. And it has all the tools that you need, right, to highlight and write on your PDFs, or you can even use predefined markup tools with preset layers and metadata to automate and simplify the entire communication process on your construction jobs. So Todd, in terms of markups, right, what features does Walter Moore primarily use in Bluebeam, and why those?
So obviously one of the biggest ones is Studio.
Mm-hmm.
We have a system set up that my CAD manager set up. She is super awesome at just oddball stuff. So we have a Microsoft form you fill out that goes out to Power Automate.
Yep.
And will send everybody an email, who's this, and it will create a Bluebeam Studio session, for us to go and do QA/QC. We have a toolbox set up with tons of tools to help automate the process and make it faster to mark these things up. Now, as far as we also have all of the seals and IROs set up in there, so everything's a click of a button, boom, done. Super easy, super fast. It's just a great thing to have, that toolbox. It took me forever to figure out how to configure that thing and get it right, and
you should have just called me. This is what
order.
We do.
I know, right? And I was going to mention that we've learned a lot of stuff from you guys. I believe we had a webinar once. You guys did quantity takeoff with it. I was like, wow, really? That is awesome.
Yeah.
So, that's other avenues we're starting to explore as well.
Yeah. Well, don't make yourself nuts next time. Write me a check, and I'll be happy to come and do it all for you.
No, write me a check.
No, don't write Rocco a check. You'll disappear on me.
I were charming, remember?
All right. So Rocco, since you want to play, how important are the markup abilities of Bluebeam for to our clients, as say compared to the the collaboration and estimating and drawing compare functions?
Yeah, I think most folks get started with Bluebeam with the markup capabilities, and they expand from there. And like Todd alluded to already, the product is definitely underutilized. I mean, I'd say for markups, we see more and more people using it on the takeoff and estimating end, and then collaboration is probably next. But Bluebeam Studio is not tapped into enough by folks. Yeah. But markups is where I see most of the people who are jumping into using Bluebeam, getting started with it there.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I mean, the Studio, and I'm glad to hear, Todd, that you guys are making great use of it. The fact that it's part of the program, it works. For those of you listening who don't know, right? Studio is just the online file hosting and collaboration tool that comes with Bluebeam. It's unlimited storage. You can have external users come in. You have total file folder level controls. It does everything SharePoint does plus. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. All right, so look, we were talking with Todd before the show, and he was telling us that he's in the process of actively putting together kind of an internal task force to build a workflow process that integrates the Bluebeam markup capabilities to kind of blend with their Autodesk utilities and connect, right? The markup and the design files, right? And this is a huge component of Bluebeam that I personally work with clients on all the time. So I wanted to kind of see, where Todd's guys are going with this. So Todd, what exactly is the current Bluebeam to CAD integration process that you guys have? And where are you hoping that your task force can kind of take the company?
Yeah, so we just recently started this task force thing. Our first one was with info drainage, and it's basically we put this task force together to try to break the software, push it to its limits, and see what it's capable of doing.
Good approach.
I had mentioned this in one of our monthly meetings a couple of years back about the markup utility that's built into the AutoCAD interface now, where you're able to import markups from a PDF, and it saves you from having to redo the work again, right? So let's say that they say, add this note here. Well, you don't have to sit there and look at the screen and type it. It'll import that and become text inside your drawing. So it's a huge time saver. So, the task force is put together. My boss is starting this. So he's the type of guy that's not into the software, but he'll hear something and he's like, ooh, that's a good idea. I'm like, dude, I mentioned that 2 years ago. You don't remember?
Yeah, but he doesn't listen to you.
Yeah.
It's like Rocco doesn't listen to me.
What?
Exactly.
True. So, yeah, I think this is going to save our draftsmen and designers a huge amount of time when it comes to addressing red lines in these Bluebeam markups.
It really is, and it's very nice. I mean, the overall process for folks listening, coming from the Bluebeam direction, like I said, using the Autodesk tools, you can streamline it even a little bit more. But the basic idea that you can just extract out your markups, with their layer structures already in place, save them out as a separate PDF, kind of removing the background from it, leaving just your changes, your as-builts, whatever it may be, and then do a PDF import into your CAD system. And then basically they come in paper space and you just do a change space command and it puts them into model space at the right scale, right layer, right place. It's brilliant. It's absolutely amazing. It's the way everybody should be looking to go.
Right. And this task force concept is, you get a handful of people doing this and testing it and making comments and refining the process. It makes it easier for whenever we push it out to the masses. Okay, so this is how you do things. This is the way we're going to do it. And this is our new standard.
Yeah, it's a great approach. I like that task force concept, I was trying to say.
I do too. Yeah. I think it's great.
Yeah, the more people, because again, there's always the guys in every company, right? Everybody listening out there, y'all know there's like 2 or 3 people in every company who love tech, who like to play, who are always looking for new, better tools. And they're the guys you just want to say, go break it. Go see, does it really work if you tear it apart? So.
Yep, and there's those guys are a little few and far between these days.
And they're getting scarce. They're getting scarce, no doubt.
They are.
So. All right, folks, I'll tell you what, why don't we take a quick break here to listen to today's sponsor, but stick around because we're going to come back. We're going to hear more about how Walter P. Moore uses Bluebeam in a practical sense when we get back, right? So come back, folks. We'll be back with more of the Cattle Call Podcast. Hey guys, it's Jim and Rocco from ZenTek Consultants, and we want to talk to you guys about our managed Contech or construction technology services that we offer here at ZenTek. Look, we're all working with a million different software systems. We're all trying to integrate them and get them to communicate and collaborate and work together. And you know what? The answer isn't always more software. That usually just brings more headaches. What we try to do is work with you as your managed construction technology service provider to help you integrate and develop all the software systems and workflow processes that you need using the software that you already have. We can help you guys with your project management, estimating, ERP systems, just about any workflow that you have to help it all work together and get your folks working the way you need them to. So let's start that conversation. So Rocco, how do people reach out to us and get the ball rolling with our contact services?
Yeah, hit up our website, zentekconsultants.net. If you go under the services section, you'll be able to see those services listed there. You could always give us a call, 866-824-4459, or drop us an email, sales@zentekconsultants.net.
There you go. All the construction technology, management help that you need but have not been able to find or afford is just a single phone call away with Managed Contact Services by ZenTek Consultants. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Cattle Call Podcast. We're talking with Todd Rogers, a longtime friend of the show, about the ways that his firm, Walter P. Moore, is adopting Bluebeam tools and processes kind of as a primary communication, collaboration, and even as a design tool. All right, so let's get into that a bit. So, Todd, in terms of preset tools, right? We talked about toolbars and so on, preset tools and functions. What type of configurations have you built out in Bluebeam, and how are those working for your staff?
Yeah, so the ones we have in there are definitely working for us. Let's take, for example, just a simple arrow with a text box. Hey, you're missing something here. This is wrong, blah, 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 or this flow line should be this flow line. It's very automated with this toolbox because you have it pre-set up. All you do is go over there and click it and then just start your business. You don't have to go find that command in the pull down and execute it from there. It's already there ready to go. The right color, the right font, the right size. So having it done that way, definitely streamlines everything, to make everything more quicker and more efficient. That's the name of the game, right? Get it out the door, get the money.
Always about get the money.
You already know.
Absolutely do. And I love that. That's the absolute right approach. The other thing that's great about like simple tools like that is, look, 90% of us, right? We've got comments that we make on every drawing, on every job, things that we have to review, have to point out, have to make sure. You can just pre-populate the text too. So you don't even have to type it or talk, just like grab the note that's like, hey, make sure you reviewed this with, legal, or make sure that you got an RFI working on this, right? Make sure you got all the parts and components. Boom, just drop it. Just point a thing you want to set a note to and have them all predefined.
Absolutely.
So
a lot of things you figure out on accident or, trying to figure it out. But, we came to a point at one point in time, my boss, he just cannot stand the way contours look from Civil 3D Surface. And I'm like, I can smooth them, but they're still not going to be as smooth as you like them.
Yeah.
So, the engineers kind of like to mark it up in Bluebeam, draw their contours in there. And, for a while we were, just mimicking it, by looking at the screen till we figured out how to import those lines into Civil 3D. You have to flatten the PDF and import the lines, and it works like a charm, man.
Yeah. And it's great because you can bring those in and you can just throw elevations on them and build a surface right from those lines.
Exactly. And they're nice and smooth like the boss wants.
Yeah, that's it. It works beautifully. Yeah, you get some great spline fitting and tools going in Bluebeam that way. That's great stuff.
Definitely.
I tell you, one of the things that I personally talk to people a lot about when working with them on Bluebeam Revu, right, is that it can function, right, like Todd was just saying, as a lightweight CAD system, right, if it's configured properly. Bluebeam has the ability to draft line work to scale, right, on preset layers with the smoothing factors you want. It even handles like basic editing tools like arrays, and you can create and display your own custom line types. You can even bring in AutoCAD custom line types to use in Bluebeam. You can create symbols that are very, very similar to CAD blocks, right, with a lot of predefined metadata and layers and scaling features and so on to help speed up the design process, right? And I think that works particularly well in the preliminary design phase of a project. And honestly, it's an absolute must-have for as-built drawings. There is no better tool for as-builts than Bluebeam. So Todd, right? You told us before the show, and we mentioned a little bit earlier, right, that you've been using Bluebeam as kind of a civil 3D replacement for a lot of your engineering staff, right, to do layouts and design reviews. What kind of led you to that decision, and how has that been working?
Well, it's been working great. I mean, the more I can keep the engineers out of Civil 3D, the better off we are. So
It's much safer for all involved.
Exactly. It's like throwing a child a hand grenade, Don't pull the pin. uh, as we all know, engineers, they get caught up in design and phone calls and meetings, and they're not in the software, as they may have been when they were a graduate engineer. So they lose their, ability to function inside the software. But sending them to Bluebeam for everything, it's kind of a fail-safe, right? Because they're not messing with our DWGs, they're messing with prints of the DWGs.
Yeah.
So that is a total fail-safe. And if they mess up the PDF, guess what? We can reprint it. So, yeah, that works out great for us, and it's the implementation for that it's just where it needs to be, right?
Yeah. Hey, what kills me about it, what I just love about it, it's the truth of all technologies. Like I was just talking to somebody the other day talking about crypto, right? And crypto came out and it was going to disrupt banking and whole divisive thing. And then what did they do? They went through the whole process and they had to kind of reinvent banking regulations and banking processes for crypto. That's exactly what we're doing here with Bluebeam. Back when I started off, we didn't let engineers touch the drafting boards. We made blueprints and gave them the blueprints to mark up on with red and yellow pens to give back to us to do the drafting.
There you go.
And then we got digital. We can eliminate all that. Now what do? We're right back to that process. We'll give you a PDF. You mark that up.
There you go. We always like giving them the blue pencil, right?
Yep.
That way it didn't show up on the...
Always the best. That's it. Let them mark up for hours, and they were so happy, and there was nothing to see.
Yeah.
So. I tell you what, folks, with most of our clients, I see two big drivers for implementing Bluebeam in place of a CAD system, right? The first is price. Look, the truth is Bluebeam costs less than 20% of its equivalent CAD seat. And like Todd was saying, it's a great replacement for people who aren't heavy, everyday CAD users who really understand the system and are sometimes more dangerous than help when they get into it. And I guess the other driver that I see, particularly for engineers, is the ease of use. Bluebeam it's simple enough that anybody, right, with a bit of basic training can generate layouts and designs with a surprising amount of detail in a kind of native hand-drawn manner, right? Like we were saying, right? You go back to the old red, yellow, blue pencils and let them mark it up, right? It's a lot simpler, I think, than having to develop and implement and maintain advanced CAD skills for people who are just going in to do simple, layout and review tasks. So Todd, did those two drivers play a role in Walter P. Moore's decision making? And if you had to pick one, right, which one is more important to your thinking?
So obviously, cost is at the forefront of everything, right? When it comes to implementing something into production, is it going to have an ROI or not, right? So if you're not getting a return of investment, then it's pretty much shot in the dark and dead. But that's really not where we look at it from the viewpoint of cost now, because it's paid for itself, right? So, having it to let engineers do what they need to do and take it to the next level is what we put in the forefront of that, right? So, like other stuff, Bluebeam has versioning, right? What has versioning? You have ACC, and that's about it. Unless you're working through SharePoint or something or Dropbox with CAD, you don't get versioning. So with Bluebeam, you get versioning, because I can't tell you how many times an engineer has done something and changed something. had to go back to a
Oh,
different
yeah.
version, right? So instead of redoing it, go back to that different version, be done with it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not the price point for us by any means, because like I said, it's paid for itself, and it does pay for itself on a daily basis.
Okay, that works. So it's more the functionality. I kind of figured that was the case. I know,
Yeah.
but you guys are big enough that just the software prices, it's an overhead. Who cares, right? But the time and the energy savings that you get out of using it with your staff, that's where the real benefits come in.
Yes, indeed.
So
It just,
okay,
can't 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 knock that for sure.
yeah, absolutely. So Rocco, in kind of in your conversations with our clients, how often does the potential for using Bluebeam to kind of eliminate more expensive CAD seats come up?
Yeah, often enough. I mean, particularly in with these unstable times, right? I mean, and the cost of Autodesk software is just keeps going down, right? I mean, uh, so it's definitely a cost savings measure, and for the reasons that you guys are highlighting here, I mean, it's worth looking at. Depending upon the task, it could do the job.
Yeah.
So why spend so much money on CAD?
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, folks. So as I always do, I want to give Todd a moment to give his thoughts on today's topic. Free from many of my silly questions. I just kind of want to let him tell us what he thinks is important to know about both the good and the bad of Bluebeam. So, Todd, what about it, sir? What else do you think people need to understand about using this tool in working with a large firm like Walter P. Moore?
Well, the only bad thing that I've really come across with Bluebeam is it's a resource hog, man. It will eat up some memory for sure. If you have your computer open for a few days and you've got 100 gazillion things open like most engineers do, you're going to see a performance issue for sure.
You will,
Right?
no doubt.
And if you got a very heavy, large PDF print, it takes a while to load the pages, but I'm sure they'll work on that in the future. But one thing that stuck out to me at AU this year, your favorite topic
Mm-hmm.
is AI, right?
I always love AI.
I believe we did a podcast on that.
We did.
Yeah. So one thing that stood out to me at this particular AU is a feature that's going to be released in the next update of AutoCAD interface software and its verticals, right? And that is the Autodesk Assistant, which, as we have it now in there, you can ask it a question and it'll say, hey, go to the forums and find this, or hey, go to the help guide and look at this. So it's really crappy.
Yep.
It sucks. But their new revamp of this is absolutely amazing, which you know how AI is. You got to be pretty particular with your wording of things. So
Yeah.
you can tell it, hey, I want the Texas standards on ADA ramp compliance to be greater than, I want you to show me on screen in the surface places that are less than 0.5%, greater than 0.5% and less than 10%. And it'll go through and it will change the style. It will give you a whole freaking report of the Texas ADA compliant standards right there in front of your face, all in a row, and it's amazing. And I would love for that to be implemented into Bluebeam somehow or another. So I do see that coming in Bluebeam. I mean, just like everybody else, I'm sure they're going to adopt it one day. But there's a lot of things that Bluebeam would benefit from by putting an AI box in there like that, I think.
Yeah. I will say, because we do, we are Bluebeam partners and we do work with them. We get to meet with them all the time. They're actively working on integrating the AI bots and the natural voice stuff to really start working on the PDF level. So it's definitely in their playbook.
I figured.
Yeah.
I mean, if not, you're going to get left behind by everybody else.
Absolutely. Look, there's nowhere. I tell you, as Todd said, I'm not the biggest fan of AI, particularly all the hype and BS behind it, but it's one hell of a tool. When and that's where I think people make the mistake, like, oh, AI is going to take over everything. It's going to do all our jobs. No, it's not.
No.
But properly implemented, right, with the right, phrasing, the right structure, understanding how to use the AI, man, it's a really super powerful tool.
Well, funny story. After our podcast on that, meeting with you guys on that AI podcast, I went back to the office and said, guys, this is not something we're going to be using. Because it's proprietary information, and that's how AI works. It finds everybody's proprietary information that you put out there and uses it, and it's for everybody out there from then on out. So, shortly after that, the company even implemented Copilot as an internal AI that doesn't, it's proprietary to Walter P. Moore and only Walter P. Moore, so it doesn't go out anywhere. It's our own AI bot working internally.
Yep.
So I thought that was kind of cool.
It's the only safe way to do it, because I love the way that the software companies take it. We're going to democratize your data, not ours, just yours, and share it with all your competitors.
Right.
For our benefit. I love it.
Correct. Yeah. Like I said, after that podcast, I was like, ooh, I've got to send an email out tomorrow.
Yeah, those are the things to worry about. Yep. See? So that's nice to know you learned one thing from our podcast, at least.
Right. This was after we had Edmundo Herrera at Autodesk come in and show us the AI capability of working with Civil 3D and standards with TextDot and things like that. And I was like, wow, it's the best thing in the world. And then I have a podcast with you. I'm like, wow, hold on. Don't do nothing, bro. Stop.
That's it. Pump the brakes. Like I said, great tools, but you got to be aware of what they're doing at all times.
That is correct. And that was just something that never hit my brain for some reason. And thank you for that.
No worries, brother. That's why we're here. So,
amen.
All right, folks. So I think with that, we're going to get out of here. But I want to thank Todd for being on the show yet again. He is an absolute fan favorite, and it's a pleasure for Rocco and I to have you around, sir. We really appreciate it, my friend.
Thank you, guys, man. It's always a pleasure chatting with y'all. Y'all are one of my favorites for sure.
We appreciate that. We
Thank
truly
you,
do.
Todd.
All right, guys, we are going to get out of here, and we'll catch you next time on the Cattle Call Podcast. All right, everybody, today's Cattle Call was brought to you courtesy of ZenTek Consultants. That's Rocco and I. ZenTek Consultants works with design and manufacturing firms to help our clients purchase and implement the software that they need in these complex industries. We provide a single point of contact for clients to buy, develop, and learn the most vital software systems for your specific needs. ZenTek strives to be your trusted technology partner from your initial needs all the way through long-term support and training for your entire staff. So Rocco, why don't you tell them how to reach out to ZenTek?
All right, yeah, you can reach out to us through zentekconsultants.net. You can email us at sales@zentekconsultants.net, or you can even call us, 866-824-4459.
Excellent. We look forward to hearing from y'all.